Welcome to the WTOC First Alert Weather Show, sponsored by Ogeechee Heating and Air.
Well, thanks for joining us at the top of the hour here on WTOC Plus and the WTOC Facebook. I'm digital anchor Jude Binkley, joined with Chief Meteorologist Dave Turley as we continue to monitor the expected snowfall our area is about to get. Dave joins us with our latest forecast. I should also say, since we are streaming this live on Facebook, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them for Dave, and we can circle back to those after the forecast. Sure. But Dave, what are we expecting this afternoon?
Well, not much has changed. You've been watching us throughout the morning hours. Forecast still remains the same. We're quiet now, but we do have these advisories out there for what we expect to move on in here later on today, and that is a winter storm warning, which is in effect for all those pink counties, basically along and north of I-16, with the exception of Chatham, because we, and along with the other counties, including Bryan, Liberty, Long, McIntosh, Tatnall, Toombs, Montgomery, are under a winter weather advisory. And the difference is going to be the amount of snow which we could potentially see. Highest totals will be in that winter storm warning, and that'll be mainly north of I-16. So now that we're out of the morning hours, again, it was dry. We expected it to be dry. An isolated shower still can't be ruled out along the coastal areas here in the next hour or so. But what's going to be happening here quickly is these temperatures are going to begin to fall. The winds are going to start to increase. They could be gusting to 30 miles per hour. So any precipitation is going to change over very quickly to all snow. And that's going to be the main precipitation type that we are going to see later on today, especially here with some of the higher accumulation totals along and north of I-16. We're going to keep some more of those scattered snow showers. So just like rain showers, meaning it's not a solid snow event or solid rain event, they'll be scattered in nature, but we're still going to get some of those snow showers and flurries into the evening hours, and that's when we're expecting some of the accumulations to continue, mainly through around midnight. Most of the models are suggesting around or just shortly after midnight. The snow should be out of here, but then we got to turn our attention to some slick spots. So let's go hour by hour just to show you that, again, we're still quiet. The snow is across central areas of Georgia now. I know my daughter just sent some video. I just posted it on my Facebook page there about the snow in Athens. So it's making its way down here, getting closer, and the models are all suggesting, this is our in-house graph computer model, seeing those temperatures quickly falling, and then that would be some snow. And where we have the darker blues, that could be a little bit of some, maybe some heavier snow showers, at least briefly moving through the area. But you notice how it could be snowing over in Claxton, Savannah there at that 6 o'clock hour, but dry up into northern Effingham County and Jasper. That just shows you that these are scattered snow showers in here for the evening hours. So if you're watching later today and you're like, why isn't it snowing? Well, it could be snowing not too far from your house.
It's interesting that's what's it called, a snow band, basically?
Snow band, yes.
Okay.
Seeing how that's going to set up. And again, we are going to get snow. I do think most everybody, especially north of I-16, will see some snow, but it turns into more of the scattered variety throughout the late afternoon into the evening hours. You can see that more as we head on through the evening hours. And then we dry out, and there's a colder weather. So here's what we're looking at as of right now. 1 to 2 plus inches. If you get in underneath one of those heavier snow bands, you could maybe see a little bit more than 2 inches, but that's pretty common for a lot of us, I think, north of I-16. South of that, you're talking about a dusting to an inch down to the Altamaha River, where I don't think we're going to see any accumulating snow in our southern areas, but maybe a few flurries. Can't rule it out, especially into the Jessup area and over towards Baxley, but south into Alma and Brunswick, I really don't expect to see much of anything over in there. Again, here's what we have out there now. You can see the snow back over towards the Dublin area. West of Swainsboro, you're 36. 34 Sylvania is cloudy, and a larger view is going to show. We've taken out the clouds so you can see the snow better because it kind of blended in with the clouds there. But there you see it. There's that batch of some snow making its way down from the northwest, and that's what we're going to watch move on in here as those temperatures quickly drop. And you can see that wind as we go hour by hour. Look at those winds gusting 25 to 30 miles per hour, wow, continuing through the evening into the morning hours. And that means we have some very cold weather to deal with here, getting you out the door. And that will mean the snow is going to stick around. It's not going to melt tomorrow morning. We're seeing temperatures in the mid to upper teens, wind chills in the single digits. We haven't been this cold, I think, since 2018, wow, when we had wind chills into the single digits. So it's been a while, and it's probably going to be a record. Record low is 23. We're forecasting 18, just to show you how cold that is. Normal low is 41. We're well below that. We're not even getting up that for a high temperature tomorrow. Very cold again. First alert on Monday morning, as that first alert 7-day forecast does show. Temperatures not warming up really past the upper 30s to some temperatures right about 40. And there's a look at those wind chills there on Sunday morning. But even in a Monday morning, we are going to be low with teens and low 20s out there. So that's why we're keeping the first alert. Once we get past Monday morning, yeah, we're going to warm things up nicely, even some 60s there on Wednesday with our next rain chance.
Yeah, that wind chill makes a huge difference. Those single-digit feels like is something else. You're talking about some of the records. I guess this isn't technically a record, but I was speaking with Jamie yesterday evening. She said that the last time Savannah saw snow in back-to-back years was like over a century ago.
Yeah,
it was like in the early 1900s.
Yeah, like it was like 1917 or something like that. Yeah, it's been a while. So it doesn't happen. We get snow occasionally. If in order to get a top 5 snow, you only need 1.2 inches of snow to get 1.8, I should say, 1.8 inches of snow to get into a top 5 snow. The most we've ever seen here in Savannah is 3.6 inches of snow.
So that 2+, we could potentially get there.
Could be a top 5 if we get the 2+ here in Savannah at the airport.
I see.
That's where it has to be, at the airport.
And I am going to pull up that snow map one more time because that's what everyone's been asking about on the Facebook feed. So once again, here's where we're looking at the different totals. Again, Dave talked about that band around this I-16. I keep saying B-16. It's the California in me. I apologize. Yeah. And anything north of there, essentially. Right, Dave?
It could be along just south, just north. It's along the I-16 area. That's what we say, the I-16 area. And you can see how those bands we're setting up with that snow coming in. That's going to line up right along at I-16. So somewhere in that area.
Okay.
Can't say if it's just north or just south, maybe right over it. There could potentially be a little batch of some brief higher snow totals in that region.
Awesome. And, you know, obviously everyone's asking about the snow. It's on everyone's top of mind. But, again, we talked about this in the 10 o'clock. Be wary of the cold temperatures Sunday, Monday as well. If you're sending your kiddos to school Monday morning, because we don't have any official cancellations yet, I should also note. We'll show that map later in the show. Make sure they're bundled up when waiting for the school bus if they do end up going to school on Monday, because those feels like, those wind gusts, the low temperatures we're seeing can certainly be dangerous if you're out for a while.
I'm bundled up right now. As
there you
can
go.
see, I got my sweater. It's cold out there in the studio.
Yeah,
but yeah, dress in layers if you're going to be out there. That's always very important. And I'm sure you're going to have more tips, I think, on keeping everything else pretty safe.
That's right. Yeah. Dave, thanks for joining us. I think it'll be Dylan at 1 o'clock, right?
I believe so.
All right. So we'll see him back with another look at the forecast. And as Dave mentioned, we do want to talk about some tips to keep yourself and your family safe. We're going to first start with some driving tips with the snowfall we could see. Because of the snow heading our way, drivers are being urged to stay off the roads, or at least be very careful if you do have to drive. The best practices for winter weather start before any snow or sleet falls. You'll want to use good judgment when hitting the road and make sure you have good tires. The tread on your tires should be visible and not smooth. Think about that old Abe Lincoln penny trick. When you put that in the tread of your tires, you want to not see his forehead. Once on the roads, you'll want to go slower than normal. Another tip is to keep good distance between other cars, about 6 to 8 seconds stopping distance. Really give yourself some cushion room. And if you do find yourself sliding, hold the car steady, don't press the brakes, and don't panic. Dave talked about this a moment ago, but Middle and North Georgia have already seen a good amount of snowfall in some areas. We wanted to show you this out of Forsyth County, where some roads are just blanketed in snow. Crews in that area are working to clear the roads, but Mother Nature isn't done just yet. You can see these cameras that captured a car trying to make it up a hilly roadway, only for that car to start sliding back down, as you can see on your screen right now. Several agencies across Middle Georgia are advising everyone to stay off the roads if you don't need to step out. So if anyone's watching who has family in Middle or North Georgia, just maybe check in with them, make sure they're okay, because yeah, those areas especially saw quite a bit of snow this morning. And one of the trickiest parts about driving in the snow is actually braking. We talked about wanting to give yourself plenty of cushion room. And a lot of modern cars, especially in the last 10, 15 years, have anti-lock brakes. Brendan Keefe joins us now with an explanation on how to use those in the safest way possible.
I'm here to show you how to use anti-lock brakes. Now first, of course, we want you to stay home, not get out on the roads when there are slick conditions, but sometimes you can't avoid it. Anti-lock brakes are in most cars sold in the United States since 2012. Not all, but most. And you may have been taught when you were younger to pump the brakes. When you get into a slick situation, just rapidly move your foot back and forth to try to keep the brakes from locking up. That is not how to drive now with anti-lock brakes. With anti-lock brakes, what you want to do is maintain constant pressure. Now what you're going to hear when you hit those brakes is this grinding. It's going to sound like something's wrong, or the brakes are failing, or you're doing something wrong. And so your temptation when you hear this sound is to let up off the brake. That is exactly the wrong thing to do. You want to maintain constant pressure because the computer is repeatedly letting off the brake and reapplying the brake, and it's doing this multiple times a second. The computer is figuring out in the sensors when the wheel starts to break traction, and then it's releasing and then reapplying the brake. Effectively, it's pumping the brakes better than you can. As a result, you stop much more quickly and in much less distance, and you also maintain control. So let's try that right now here at about 15 miles per hour. Constant pressure. And the car comes to a complete stop. You can actually continue to steer. And you may have been taught, if you do start skidding, if the rear of your vehicle starts sliding out left or right, you want to steer toward the direction of that skid. So if the back end of your vehicle is going left, you want to steer left to counteract that, to maintain sort of your direction of travel. So that's the lesson. Maintain that constant pressure on the brake when you do need to stop quickly and you do feel it start to feed back. Don't let off pressure. Don't try to pump the brakes yourself. I'm Brendan Keefe, Atlanta News First.
Well, we wanted to take a moment to show you some of the snow that's already moved through parts of north and middle Georgia. This is footage from this morning out of Flowery Branch in Hall County, who saw snowfall for the second week in a row out in northeast Georgia. Snow plows out in full force over in that town. Definitely an area where you want to be safe and remember some of those winter weather driving tips as well. We also want to show you video that was blanketing Blairsville this morning in Union County. A couple different cameras there catching some early morning snowfall in North Georgia, pretty close to the border. But yeah, again, it's moved through those parts. It's over Athens right now, heading east. We are expecting snowfall here on the coast later this afternoon. And ahead of that snow, many people are looking for ways to stay warm this weekend. The Burton Fire District says to make sure that if you use a space heater or another heating source, to make sure it is 3 feet away from anything else in your home. Make sure that the heater is not near anything flammable like a blanket or clothes, or that you don't put those things on top of the heater. Another thing that the department stresses is making sure that you don't plug the heater or heating source into an extension cord, and instead you'll want to plug it directly into a wall.
Well, the fire risks we have are going to be people heating their homes. Like we said, plug in a space heater into an extension cord. The extension cords are not permanent wiring, so it's not designed to carry electricity like that.
And if you have questions about possible fire dangers in your home, you can always speak to your local fire department about that as well. And with winter weather comes the potential of losing power as well. Good news, though, because the snow that is expected to fall in our area is more of the powdery snow. It doesn't necessarily impact power lines quite as much, but still, here's some tips that you should keep in mind as we do expect snowfall. You'll want to think about keeping an emergency kit in your home with things like batteries, flashlights, canned food, even something like a board game to keep your family occupied. And we did speak to the director of SEMA for more tips on preparing for the weather.
But we encourage people to have an emergency kit year-round. This is something that you can put into a Tupperware container, throw it in your closet. That way you have all the provisions of your family.
And warming shelters are also now open across the coastal empire and the low country ahead of the winter weather this afternoon. One of those is the Sea Island Presbyterian Church in Beaufort, which opens anytime the temperatures drop below freezing. They offer a warm place to stay and sleep while also giving folks a warm meal to eat. Now, normally they see about 15 people each time they open, but this weekend the church is expecting that number to double.
With the weather we're expecting this weekend, Saturday night, I would expect an increase from that 32 that we had last night for sure.
In the Low Country, there will also be a warming shelter open on Hilton Head Island at Christ Lutheran Church and in Ridgeland at Kingdom Touch Ministries. You can also find a full list of shelters and when they're open on our website right now. We have your forecast, the latest updates for it, pinned to the homepage. Then we've got a couple lists here on the right side of our website showing the school districts across the area that are monitoring for potential closures or impacts there. And then here's the list of warming shelters in coastal Georgia and the Low Country. If you just scroll down, we go county by county, notably in Savannah, the Salvation Army, the Old Savannah City Mission, the Union Mission, a lot of groups there. And then the Chatham County Transportation Assistance is also helping get folks to warming shelters if needed as well. And before we sign off here for the 12 o'clock show on WTOC Plus, one more time, we did want to show you a look at the snow totals map, or at least what we're expecting this afternoon. This is what Dave was talking about just a few minutes ago with the latest forecast update, but we just wanted to leave this on the screen because I've seen a handful of questions coming in about the snow totals in different areas of the region. And while we look at this map, I also wanted to just remind y'all that as we do expect snow here at WTOC, we are increasing our coverage throughout the day. At the top of the hour, every hour, right here on WTOC Plus and the WTOC Facebook page, we'll be joined by a meteorologist who will give an extended forecast to talk about what we're seeing in real time and the incoming impacts, with hourly updates. Dylan Smith will join us at 1 o'clock. We've had Dave here for the last couple of hours. And then we also have several field crews that will be heading out once that snow does start to fall. They'll be joining us live here on Facebook and WTOC Plus, as well as the broadcast shows this evening with real-time looks at the impacts across the areas. We will start continuous coverage here on Facebook and WTOC Plus once that snow starts to fall. And that is going to conclude the coverage here for our 12 o'clock show on WTOC Plus. Again, we'll be back in just under 45 minutes for another round of stories and a look at your latest forecast with meteorologist Dylan Smith. We'd like to thank you all for watching.